And in a very unsurprising Coronation Street twist, a character who we thought was buried is actually still alive. And of course, it's within the Carla, Lisa, Betsy, and now Becky subplot. So, obviously this contains spoilers, but this is likely a Friday video, so hello Friday. This has been revealed that in today's Coronation Street episode, this being Monday when this is recorded, Becky Swain is still alive. Now, what does this mean? I mean, first and foremost, Betsy and Lisa have been struggling with the grief of losing, Lisa's wife, Betsy's mum, and they've gotten all chummy, just gotten engaged to Carla. So that means now there's something that's a little bit, it's a real spanner in the works. But also, the circumstances that it's come together aren't exactly savoury, as it seems that Becky kind of faked her own death. So there's just a lot of questions. There's a lot of very confusing things to think about here. Because first, you're pitting Carla and Lisa, who are a very popular ship among the lesbian community, and among the people who love gay relationships and soap. And then you bring in Becky, who's been teased, but now it's going to be... I don't know. I don't even know how this is really going to run. Because obviously, Lisa and Betsy have lived with the grief. And Swala is the end goal for Lisa and Carla. But now with this little spanner in the works, after they've just gotten engaged, it's a really interesting twist. Someone made the astute observation that the person that Roy had seen in the hospital looked awfully similar to Becky. And now that theory came true. I hope people don't take the... I know I kind of said it was predictable, but, it's just normal soap punditry. But yeah, I'm going to read an article from the Metro, and it's going to give all of the information and more. Alright, so murdered Coronation Street character back from the dead in shock early ITV release. This is by Maisie Spackman, who is a fantastic writer over at the Metro. After months of speculation from Coronation Street fans, the ITV soap has finally confirmed a major twist by bringing a murdered character back from the dead. That's right, Becky Swain is alive. Despite having never appeared on screen while alive, Becky, Amy Cudden, had been mentioned countless times over the past year. As the late wife of DS Lisa Swain, Becky had a huge impact on both her life and life of daughter Betsy Swain. Her death hit both characters really hard, and they've struggled to manage the grief ever since. What happened to Becky Swain? Viewers will know that Becky was also a police officer, but was killed in the line of duty when she was mowed down by a getaway car at the scene of a robbery. Prior to her death, she was being investigated for corruption, something that Lisa has struggled with in recent months. Desperate for answers, Lisa began looking into Becky's death herself, much to the horror of D.I. Costello, who had been looking more and more suspicious as recent episodes had unfolded. Unfortunately, her investigation led nowhere, and she eventually accepted that there was nothing in the corruption allegations. In tonight's episode, Becky's memory was ever present as Betsy celebrated her 18th birthday. As Betsy toasted to the photo of her absent mum, Roy Cropper was taken aback when he recognised Becky. Viewers may remember that Roy took a trip to the hospital after suffering a bad back, and at one point he made small talk on a woman after accidentally letting the door shut on her. Tonight, he realised that the woman looked exactly like Becky, and he decided that he needed to speak to Carla Connor about his suspicions. But before he could do that, however, Lisa got the shock of her life, and the woman in question appeared in her kitchen. How will Becky explain her absence, and how will Lisa react? Lisa was just beginning to move on with her life after losing Becky, having got engaged to Carla last week. She made a romantic gesture outside the factory, and the pair exchanged rings before celebrating in the Rovers with friends and family. With Lisa's wife having seemingly crashed back into her life, what does this mean for Carla and Lisa's future? And that's the question. That is the question. What does this mean for Carla and Lisa? Because let's be real, Carla and Lisa are exactly what they have been building and building and building. And I'd imagine the next at least 5 years will be dedicated to Swala, with at some point likely a Peter return in there just to make things all the more complicated. This is fairly big news, honestly. Kind of interesting as well. Definitely going to get to see some interesting, how Betsy's not really dealt with the trauma. Lisa's not really dealt with the trauma. So how will this take shape? Who is Becky? What was she like? Is she now a corrupt cop? Well, she's not a cop anymore, but is she now living off the grid but is still doing some dodgy stuff? Is she some secret crime boss? What is Becky's angle as such? And that's all the interesting things, because who really knows? And that's the weird bit. That's the kind of confusing part. How does this affect things? Because obviously, this feels like it's just a cog in the works for the Lisa and Carla relationship, a bit of trauma, a bit of angst for them to be able to move forward. And you also get to address the Becky stuff, and then you kind of get to decide, hey, Carla and Lisa are soulmates, and that's why they're going to get married. And maybe Becky will be there for Betsy. But, yeah. I don't really know how to feel about this one. I guess I could kind of take a little foray to the r/EastEnders subreddit and see what people are thinking. I think that's going to be the interesting one. Let's take a look at a post on the subreddit, which says, hold on. Oh my god, the worst decision ever. Here we go. We do love the subreddit sometimes. Becky Swain is alive. That's all there is to say, but to say I'm disgusted is an understatement. Wonderful Cow says, it was pretty obvious from the first moment she was mentioned there'd be no other reason. Becky is a complete unknown. It wouldn't be a storyline to find out a random dead couple is dodgy. Corey's desperate attempt to quickly flesh out Lisa, what they failed at yet again is fleshing her out before giving her a big storyline. I'm now thinking Tia Wardley isn't Becky, but the person Logan and Matty hit in the car. Costello paid them to do it so he could fake Becky's death. Lisa never saw the body because Costello identified her to spare Lisa the pain. Still not sure how this explains anything else though. Gotta hand it to Corey because I'm absolutely fuming. It's the most ridiculous plot twist ever, but I'm still on tenterhooks for Friday's episode. I haven't watched it yet, but I came here for the spoilers because I couldn't bear it. I knew, but was in denial because it's so infuriating. Feel marginally better that I know I can unite with fellow Carla Lisa fans today in annoyance. As someone said in a comment over the weekend, can't remember if it was you or someone else, let's just hope it provides some great performances from the cast and eventually resolves it in some way that doesn't totally screw Carla over. I don't like it even more now. I think she was the one that broke into Wonderworld. Oh. I was really hoping that she was dead, and the only reason she was mentioned so much because Costello was dirty and killed her as a cover-up. I know Swallow and Game are in it for the long haul, but I'm not ready for the heartbreak between them. Someone once said that the writers only give people hours on the street when they're staying together, so that's some hope. And said that insiders that they have a rough year, but they come out of it stronger. Spoilers of them in the park look like maybe Friday. Closure at they're wearing in this episode match the ones they're wearing then. I think it's hit me harder than any other TV show couples dramas. Their love and relationship is something I truly aim for. The looks between them, the communication, the chemistry is what I want in a relationship. to have that possibly torn apart, even for the time being, is a bit heartbreaking. Right, it's been 10 minutes. Let's go back into my takes. I mean, you can see that clearly there's a very strong fan base between Carla and Lisa, and people who do love the characters, and people who do aspire to have love like that. You know, in a sense, I can kind of sit here as like a jaded, like asexual fan and be like, yeah, what's even the point of that though? Who cares that much? But if it makes people feel, I think that's all the more important. So I won't mock that horrendously. And hey, they're putting this out in a public forum, like, fair play. I probably wouldn't share anything like that publicly either. I like this twist. I am vaguely interested to see what it does. And the weird bit about Lisa and the weird bit about a lot of Coronation Street characters currently is a lot of these characters weren't really built into these storylines. And it kind of becomes a little bit strange when you do give these new characters big storylines, even if they don't necessarily feel like they deserve it. I'm not necessarily saying you can't like catapult characters into stardom immediately. Some characters do hit the ground running. But in soap, there is essentially a period of... It's a concept in wrestling and a concept in most jobs where you do have to pay your dues. And I guess in a sense, Lisa's actress, Vicky Myers, I think is her name. She was an extra for like 5 years. But she has kind of went from zero to hero very, very, very quickly. And this would probably annoy a lot of fans, and especially because she does come saddled with the Swala fans now. And, you know, if you don't know, if it's just any gay ship will have the very toxic audience where they will love everything and they'll fucking post all the screenshots. Fucking hair. They'll post all the screenshots about how, oh my god, in this picture they were holding hands and they were looking each other in the eye. And it's like, guys, you know, let's not do this. Come on. Like, I'm glad that somebody's really enjoying this, but like, you know, I appreciate that. But I've really thrown myself out with that one. But because of this, it feels like she gets paired with Carla and then gets to do scenes with Roy, gets to do a bunch of scenes, you know, has Betsy, and like both characters are pretty polarizing. Carla's in that kind of iconic status where she could do anything wrong, and even the writers probably be like, well, just our Carla, she is a part of the furniture as such. So to kind of be thrust into this position, and especially at the behest of a bunch of other characters, you really don't do any wonders for the actual popularity. Because, like, yeah, sure, there may be a fairly small audience of people who are inherently Swala fans instead of Corrie fans. You do kind of make the attitudes towards this character just a little bit less engaged. And if you have let's say they change executive producer again, is this pairing gonna be particularly key for the next era? Because this is Kate Brooks's like this is Kate Brooks's baby, right? This is one of her huge characters that she was trying to do. So, and you know, just like Charity and Vanessa and Emmerdale, who knows how long it's really gonna last? I don't know, man. I think it's interesting. I'm not against seeing Becky Swain. I think it'd be kind of fun to explore that side of the character. And it's a cool way to add a little roadblock and add a bit of angst towards it. But I'm sure, and as this is being recorded on the Monday the 8th, I'm sure some new stuff will come out, and obviously it'll all be revealed, and by the time this comes out, this video will be dated as fuck anyways. But hey, it's been a stressful couple of weeks for me, so, you know, let's just... No audio issues. It's all fine. It's all fine. But yeah, tell me what you think about Becky Swain's return or comeback, or I don't know, whatever it is, in the comment section. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. Thanks for watching. See you next time.